Welcome back. Nikki,
Hi.
your vocals are amazing.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful.
I'm happy you liked it.
Wow. Nikki, with those kind of vocals, was it difficult finding love?
It still is difficult finding love. Yeah.
Yeah? Why is that?
It's a complicated thing.
Is it that you don't date long enough? Is it that you feel like they're taking advantage over you? What is it?
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things.
Yeah?
Yep. I think as a human being, because of the fact that a lot of us are not on the level yet where we actually know what true love is, that makes it a lot more difficult to attract it. So,
And you think that because of impairment that they don't understand you?
to a certain extent, yeah, that can be factored into the equation. But I want people to understand that I'm a woman, and so I go through just about everything that any other woman would go through when it comes to relationships, romantic relationships. So there's nothing outside that, yeah.
So presently you're single.
Basically, yes.
So guys, Nikki's single. No, I'll be your godfather.
Oh my God.
They'll have to go through me, my sister.
Wow. Oh my
No, but
goodness.
seriously. But was it fun dating or was it difficult?
Both.
Both.
Yes, depending on the person. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I've had a very colorful past.
Oh, I like how the way you put it.
Yes.
That's different. Yes.
If I were to write an autobiography, which I have, but it's not published or anything. I mean, it's amazing what one person can go through in this lifetime. But the interesting thing is that we all have a story to tell.
Definitely. Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yep.
I like that. Well, I guess good luck in your future endeavors and whatever relationship you come with. But Nikki, in terms of somebody that's visually impaired, like in case a young mother is looking at right now, or maybe they have a mother that has a child that's hiding that child inside and they don't want people to know, what advice can you give them in terms of dealing with that child?
Well, I know it can be very challenging, but mothers have to realize that when they have a child who is blind or visually impaired, they have to accept it as it is, okay? This is a human being that has been entrusted into their care by the Creator. So you have to try to do the best you can for that child. And you know what the remarkable thing about it is? There is support. There is support. It's not like before where there was so little support, all right? There is support. If you really need the support, you need to let people know, and you will get the support. And you also have to make sure that you instill in that child that he or she is beautiful, capable, loved, wonderful, beautifully created, all of that. I think a lot of us parents, we lack that. We do not instill these values in the children, and they grow up feeling low about themselves, and they have to navigate life on a really
and even
difficult
if
path.
society too, we need to stop calling people names, because growing up, you would see children that has how do you call it, Down syndrome,
Yes.
and they calling them deck, and for them they actually responding. Grow up as an adult in your community, and you respond to those names, or they call the man avegla, and stuff like that. And I think it's not a good thing that people should practice. So maybe if we instill that in our kids, even at schools, that you would expect. There's a child that's maybe different. He's maybe on the heavier side. He or she's on the heavier side. Even like when I used to go to school, people used to call me Golette.
Wow.
You got in a lot of trouble for that, because at that time you try to defend yourself, Now for some kids, they take it very hard
And
with the name
never
calling and
grow
stuff
out of
like
it.
that. So
They never grow out of it. It resonates with them. They suffer from low self-esteem. Some people never come out from that zone. They grow into their teenagehood, adulthood, feeling really
it's
down.
almost like they create a barrier, a wall.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's not a nice place to be in, and that is where I believe a lot of sensitization needs to come in. Various organizations need to go to the schools, even the public the public places, like workforces, people need to be sensitized, because adults can be cruel as well. And I think a lot of times it's ignorance. Sometimes they don't I don't think they're intentionally
Yeah.
malicious or
Do
anything.
you think there's anything the Ministry of Education can do to add up to the visual impairment in St. Lucia?
Well, there are various organizations like the Blind Welfare Association, the National Council of and for Persons with Disabilities.
There's all of this in St. Lucia?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So what needs to happen, or more of it, I should say, is that these organizations need to do a lot more sensitization. Like go to the schools, go to the workforces, like the public places, and let people know, how to deal with persons with disabilities. I think that's a huge, huge thing that needs to happen.
Wow.
Yes.
I think that's beautiful. Yeah, I think with everything now, time is changing, and I hope the right persons are viewing or the message will come across.
Yeah, I'm
Because
sure.
as you said, St. Lucia has come a long way,
Yes,
and I think
we
there still
have.
has more space for us to grow and become a better country and make it more
Definitely.
versatile
Yep.
that people can live. Because I don't think because you have a disability, you should be on the sidelines.
No, no. There's a lot of capability in every human being, but it's not so much the disability. I think it's how we are treated. That will dictate a lot. That determines a lot. And a lot of people who never progress, like we established just now, is because of the way they have been treated. It's like it resonates. And they don't even know that they can break free from that negativity and become the person that they ought to become. It's a difficult thing, but it can be done.
Now, you just said use the word treated. And what came to mind, have you ever been discriminated against because of your impairment as an adult? Or has anybody ever said something harsh or did something that maybe when you walk here, you were like, oh, really?
I would get remarks thrown at me, like, blind, or, there was this term, cocklish eyes, or, like,
Are you
crooked
serious?
eyes, and yeah, and I mean, it was worse before. I want to commend St. Lucians because people have come a long way. You don't get that like before. You really don't. But then for some people, unfortunately, the damage has already been done. Like the criticisms, the bullying, the name calling, it resonated negatively with people. I mean, I know of a case where there was a young guy and he went to one of the secondary schools and he wanted to do music. He's visually impaired. And then he told me that, like the teachers told him, come on, like you're blind, like what can you do? What music can you do? And this guy is a phenomenal vocalist.
But we had guys like, what's that artist, this blind man name? Ray Charles?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
Stevie Wonder.
Stevie
These are
Wonder.
geniuses,
Yeah.
Last year there was a guy, his name is Matthew Whitaker. He's blind. And this guy, let me tell you, this guy is... I honestly, this guy is the next Stevie Wonder. He was here in St. Lucia. All right.
Wow.
And then I went to see him, and this guy is phenomenal on the keyboards. I mean, he has about 4 keyboards and he's playing them, and it was a fantastic show. And I have to say that we are capable.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
sure
think-
people know that now. So
Yeah. But before I wrap up, the last thing I'll say is I think what you said about the teacher telling him he wouldn't make it, I don't think that was the teacher place to say
I'm
that.
telling you.
Yeah.
I was appalled when I heard that, and I was like,
Wow.
no way, no way, no way. And up to now, this guy has kind of, like, he told me he lost the drive. I said, but the funny thing is that some other person would have used that as motivation to prove that they can do what the teacher said they cannot do. But
But Nikki, thank you so much
It
for
was my
being here. The
pleasure.
pleasure was all mine. But St. Lucia, I'm going to leave with you. We need to treat persons how we want to be treated, and we need to nurture our children or teach them to go out in society and teach people and respect persons that's differently able, because I don't think it's a wise thing to have persons calling each other name in society. I don't think that sits well with a human being, because we all have feelings, and I think it's a wonderful thing to help out somebody if you realize the person is visually impaired. There's kind gestures that you can do to make us go a long way.
Indeed.
Thank you for viewing. This was the Sharmark Show. Catch you on Sunday. Thank you. good evening. Welcome to Sharmark. I am your host, Sharmark. And this evening, we have a very interesting guest, a very close friend of mine. We've gotten very close for the last couple of months. Good evening, Nikki. How are you?
I am wonderful, Sharmark. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
having me.
Oh, it's the pleasure was all mine. I'm loving your dress.
Thank you, sir.
Beautiful. Nikki, tell us. Before I met you, I mean, like, we are co-hosts on the Love Zone, and I think I've gotten really close with you through co-hosting the show together. But I would love for me and St. Lucians to just give us a little insight of what it was like growing up as a young woman, as a child, with your visual impairment in St. Lucia.
Okay. Well, as Sharmark said, I have a visual impairment. I suffer from nystagmus. That is a condition where the pupils oscillate. So focusing is sometimes very little or none at all. With mine, it's very little. That was very challenging. I was born that way. My dad was blind, and I was born that way. So as a child, it was difficult because, you know, you had to try to fit in with other children. They could be so mean and insensitive. I don't think they were deliberate about it, but it was like that. And there is residual damage because you hear certain things that reminds you constantly that you have this disability, and you know, you grow up feeling kind of low about yourself and left out and stuff. So that was difficult. I attended the School for the Blind in Santa Cruz, Trinidad at some point because there was not a school that catered for persons who were visually impaired and
They
blind.
actually have a whole school for persons
in Trinidad, yes.
Oh, wow.
So let's see. There's she's way older now, but then she was totally blind. She attended the school along with my two brothers and myself. We had to go there because there was not a school that catered for persons who were blind.
So basically, your siblings also has...
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, basically. I come from a family of 11, and out of the 11 siblings, 7 of us have the visual impairment. So that was something else. But
what was it like growing in a house with 7 persons that with a visual impairment?
Well, I think like we identified quite well with each other. I mean, like every other household, we had our squabbles and stuff like that because that's such a normal thing, you know, sibling rivalry. But I think we toughed it out well enough, yes. So, but back to the Trinidad thing, we had to go there, and then we spent like 3.5 years there. Then we came back, and fortunately, the School for the Blind in St. Lucia was established, and so we went there for some time. And after that, we were integrated into the normal schools. That was very challenging because children did not know how to react to us. We got a lot of name calling and stuff like that. So that was challenging. But
what was it like with a name calling? What was going through your head at the time?
It was frustrating. And I never liked school because between me and you, the
Not
Trinidad
between me
thing.
and you, the audience.
The audience, yes. Please, I apologize. But I just want to say that when it came to that aspect of things, it was very frustrating. Children were very ignorant as to the fact that, you know, it was not a wise thing or a nice thing to, you know, be that insensitive. Now I understand why they did what they did. I don't think it was altogether their fault because they couldn't understand. You know, they just couldn't understand. So.
Wow. So did it limit you? I realized no. I was about to say, did it limit you in any way in your adult life? I would say no, because I mean, like, I've seen you sing calypso, and I realized normally persons with visually impaired carry a cane. Have you ever used one of those?
I haven't, you know, but sometimes I think that I need to, because maneuvering can be challenging, especially when I'm not familiar with the area. When I'm familiar with a place, I move about very well. But when I'm not, it's like I'm totally blind. So a cane may not be a bad idea, but I haven't used one. So
you have not used one after all of those years?
No.
Wow.
I think I depend more on my vision, like what I have. So I try to make do, but then I'm thinking of actually having to use one.
But sometimes when I
Seriously.
text you, you respond to a text so fast.
Yeah, because I have my magnifying glass. Oh yes, everybody, I use a magnifying glass. I call it my third eye. To read, like stuff on my phone, books, and stuff like that. If I have to use a computer, it has to have a special speech program called JAWS. It's JAWS. It's Jobs Access with Speech. That's what it stands for. That's the acronym. And blind people use it, and then, it makes it very accessible for us on computers and phones and stuff like that. There's speech programs that enable blind people, visually impaired people to really, like be very savvy, on with technology. So that's a plus.
So as a child growing up, or maybe in your teens, were there any instant you feel like maybe in the long run your vision might be better?
When I grew up to a certain age, yes, and then I even used to practice, like mind, just meditations to see whether or not it would happen. Even to this day, I go out into the blazing sun and I look up and I focus, and I'm like, God, like let your laser beams just burn my eyes and restore my vision. But I have to say that maybe I'm not serious about it up to a point where it would happen, because I can safely tell you what I have learned about the mind is that if you really and truly focus good enough, it will happen. But there's a part of me that doesn't even want it because of the wicked things that are going on the planet, and I wouldn't want to have to like witness it like full sight. No.
So it's almost like
It's okay.
you're very comfortable at this point.
I wouldn't say very comfortable, but I have accepted that, what, that's what it is, and this too shall pass. I will not be like that like eternally. That's just a phase in my life. Yeah.
So as a visually impaired person, I realize you have two beautiful daughters. What was it like raising your daughters?
There were challenges like every other thing. I mean, every mother, whether visually impaired or not, has challenges. But one of the things that I had difficulty with was bathing the children, because I felt like I wasn't able
True.
to do it well enough. And until they grew maybe like months old, then I started doing it. Maybe it was a fear of them falling.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was very, very, very careful with that. When it came to changing them and cleaning them, I was really meticulous, and so they were never dirty. And the thing about blind and visually impaired people, or some of us, is that we are very meticulous, and then we are so extremely neat. We just believe in structure and putting things in particular places and cleaning our children in a certain way. So that, I can tell you, was on point.
So you think, okay, we going to go into commercial and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Nikki, welcome back.
Thank
you
you,
look
sir.
fabulous. We
Thank
like came
you.
from commercial and you just look different.
I'm blushing.
What? One question: when your daughters got a bit older and they realized you had a visually impaired mom, were there questions?
Honestly, not really. No.
It was just so natural that
So
they didn't even
natural.
realize.
Yeah, like they just fitted right in. I mean, it's amazing. Honestly, I've never had to deal with that. No. The
Wow.
questions and stuff. No. I mean, I explain to them sometimes that, hey, I can't see this or I can't see that. That's why I would ask you to help me with this or that. But then they never really. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
So you never got bullied by your kids because for assistance and stuff like that.
Like every other, well, like a lot of parents, yes, I have. Like you ask them to assist you with something, you ask them to do something for
Not
you.
now, mommy. I doing that.
Yeah, all
Well,
of
it's
that.
normal stuff.
Normal
Okay,
stuff.
normal stuff. Okay.
It's not unnatural. So
Okay.
yes.
Oh wow. Good. What was it like? I mean, like I think you really challenged yourself. I see what Nikki doing on the pool stage for Calypso. What was it like?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I used to do like karaoke and like various, musical groups. You understand? Like I was with two different bands, but these bands, they were made up of persons who were blind and visually impaired, right?
Well, I remember when I used to look at Valma as a young man, he used to
Yes,
pass.
right.
And then, I mean, like, you used to carry some notes. I mean, like,
Well,
totally.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
So I did that for a while, and then in 2011, the late Gordon Jean Leon, he came to me, and we spoke, and he said that he had, well, actually it was a friend of mine who's blind. She told me about the fact that this man was forming a tent, and I'm like, and she encouraged me, like to link up with Mr. Leon. And at first I was skeptical. I was like, me calypso guy. When you go on stage, you have to whine and you have to wear short clothes. But then I found out that's not necessarily true. So I decided to link up with the gentleman, and we clicked. And then I joined his tent. It was the So Calypso review tent at the time. And I did calypso on the Lucian stage for the first time.
What was the experience like?
Oh my goodness, it was exhilarating. It was something else. I mean, it was awesome. I have to say, the public was very receptive, and I think that motivated me a lot. And so that was my first year, and in 2012, I made it to the Calypso finals.
Wow,
So,
congratulations.
thank you. And that was fantastic. I mean, up till now, I have to say that the St. Lucian public has been very supportive.
For the love of calypso, I will always play my part. I ain't great like sparrow, but at least I make a start. For the legend Leon, I will carry on the flame. For the love of calypso, not because I won the fame.
And I just want to say, St. Lucians, I love you all, seriously. And this year, I will be coming out again.
Coming
Yes,
out
so
like singing calypso?
singing calypso.
You serious?
Yeah.
You'll have to pay me for that ad. You just advertised that you're going to be singing calypso. Boy. That's why you dress so nice, my sister.
You asked me to. Yes, so
Okay,
look
good,
forward
then
to
good
that.
luck with that.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, nice. So when you're on stage, are you very comfortable?
The best way I know how to be comfortable. I mean, as I've told some people already, I don't think that I use the stage the way I want to.
True.
But then I utilize it the way I know how. And I try to deliver the songs so that people get the message loud and clear. I think that's what it is.
If the man want to do what mommy say, she will go to hell and back to make him pay. Now he's a man, not a baby. You holding on too tightly, let him go, lady. Stop the hate and jealousy. Don't make him your enemy.
In terms of visually impaired community in St. Lucia, you've been around, you're in Trinidad, St. Lucia. What would you like to see for the younger generation coming? Because I think we maybe have a few persons, younger people, older persons. What would you like to see happen? Or what is one of your dreams, something you'd want to see happen for the community in St. Lucia?
What I would like to see happen more is that the able-bodied community would embrace persons who are blind and visually impaired more, meaning, like in the workforce especially, because we are capable. We are capable. I think that a lot more sensitization needs to be done, but I have to say that we have come a long way, There was a time when people were shut in, you wouldn't even know they existed, but right now, more and more people who are blind and visually impaired are coming out. And I try to, use my talent to motivate other people who are blind and visually impaired to come out and showcase what they can do. So
Nice.
that's one of my
Have you been out in the workforce in St. Lucia?
I have. I worked
What places have you worked?
I used to work at the Hyatt Regency St. Lucia. That was in 2000.
What department, may I ask?
The telephone operator.
I think you have the voice for that.
Thank you, sir.
How was the experience like?
Fantastic, unforgettable. I mean, oh gosh.
Nice.
Then I worked at Sandals Grand as same telephone operator. Then I worked at the St. Lucia Blind Welfare Association,
Okay,
receptionist.
So you had to, as a telephone operator, you had to take a couple of days to learn the switchboard?
Well, there was training.
Okay.
So that went down really well. What I did is I would cram the extensions because it would make it a lot easier, you know, for me to transfer people, you know, like on, off, you just
Yes,
instantly.
yes.
So I was, people would call me the walking directory.
I can only
Yes,
imagine
but it was
because that's
fun.
quite a bit of extensions
yeah,
to
it
cram.
was fun, but
and I
I'm-
think in your situation, you had to do what would work for you.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, because sometimes I've been places and I see that will actually look, they have a diary or
Yes.
something they wrote the extensions on, and if you could have cranked it, it makes it
Oh, yeah,
easier.
definitely.
Nice. So what's next for you for the future? What's happening with you?
Well, I'm on the love zone with you, which is fantastic. I mean, I love that kind of thing. The future, I really want to see my music go further, but that is kind of on a
Speaking
down
of
low.
music, I mean, like for solutions that haven't heard you, haven't seen you, just sing like one line first. Just give us something. Drop something first. Make me fall in love if you're on the show. Give me something.
But I thought you were in love with me. What more you want?
Give me something, Nikki.
Wow, what am I going to sing?
Something.
You've got me on the spot, sir.
I know, that's what we do at the Sharmark show. Spots. We're spotting it. You have calypso. If you sing karaoke, just sing something, anything that comes to mind.
Okay. Silent is the night, closing in around me. I sit and listen for footsteps on the stair, thinking of the night when your loving found me. I'll run to the door, but no one's there. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my God. I feel like I was in a movie, you know, one of those movies, these
The old
musicals and stuff like that. That was by who?
Cilla Black. Cilla like Cilla Black.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank
We'll
you.
be right back.